Flosstube friends. Today is Friday, October 10th, 2025. I am Audrey Marine and you have reached my channel all about cross stitch. You can also find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead. Now, usually I talk about everything that I have stitched, worked on, started, whatever it may be, since my last Flosstube video. But today, I'm not going to do that. Today is going to be all about Halloween cross stitch. I did throughout the end of September stitch on more samplers, and I even started one, a new one, and got a lot of work into that one since I recorded my last Flosstube episode. But today I'm going to talk about my Halloween whips and show you a couple finishes, show you some fully finished objects that I have and talk about those charts, because in just a couple days I am leaving for a retreat that is definitely sampler specific. So when I come back from that, I will do a video all about that retreat, my experience there, and everything that I stitched throughout the end of September, sampler-wise. All right, so first thing I want to show you guys today, since we're talking about Halloween stuff, is something that my mom actually gave me a few weeks ago, and I kind of thought about showing it on the last Flosstube, but I thought, let me hold on to it because I think I'm going to do a Halloween video, and here I am doing a Halloween video. So she knows I love Halloween, and not like super creepy, gory Halloween, but cutesy stuff, and you'll see that in the whips and finishes that I showed you today. But she made me a quilt. It's a lap quilt. It's not huge, but she made me a lap quilt out of the Owl-O-Ween, like owl, collection. I have 2 project bags already made out of this fabric, and I just love it. And I love the pattern that she used for this and that teal color. So as it gets colder in the floss palace here, I'll be using this more. Look at those spiders. There's a little, let's see if it'll focus for you. Yes, and there are the spiders on pink. And then we've got all sorts of candies. I love this collection. I love it. So if you are interested, if you're a quilter or you have somebody who can do this stuff for you and you like that pattern, that collection, it is Owl-O-Ween. I don't know the manufacturer, but I'll look it up and I'll put it in the information box below and you'll be able to find it. So thank you very much, Mom, for that. She made me a lap quilt last Halloween too. Also, now that it's uncovered, I want to show some stitchy kindness that I got. My birthday is coming up, and so Jordan, the tattooed stitcher, she made me a patchwork bag. This is out of a collection called Home Sweet Haunt, which I love as well. I bought some of this fabric for myself to use for the backs of some finished pieces, but she made me a whole bag and sent this to me, and that was a lovely surprise. So thank you so much, Jordan. And Jordan is the tattooed stitcher. I will link her channel below if you're not already watching her. She's great. She usually records weekly videos and she shows her whips and haul and all that stuff. Look at that guy. Yes. So thank you, Jordan. This has already been in use, but I emptied it so I could show it all nice on the video. Okay, and away it goes in red chair so I can make some more space here. Okay, so throughout the year, and certainly going into sampler September, I was mostly stitching samplers. I have stitched very few smalls so far this year. And so by the time the end of sampler September, the end of September rolled around, I kind of felt actually a little burnt out on samplers. Really just felt burnt out on big projects because I kept referring to my list of starts, and everything on there, not everything, but the majority of the projects on that list are very large and none of them are near a finish. There's one smaller one that is a maybe halfway through, but would still require several more days to finish. So, and it wasn't one that was really calling to me, as people say. It wasn't really begging for attention. So I kept looking at my list of starts and thinking, no, I don't want to work on any of these. And then I thought about it and I thought, I want a finish. I want to finish in like 3 days. Well, how am I going to get that? Well, I can get that if I work on a small. So as soon as the calendar turned to October, I started Halloween small. I started Bones by Stacy Nash. This is a chart that I purchased a few months ago when I purchased some Halloween fabric, actually. And this is great. It's only a few colors. I didn't stitch the fish bones and I didn't stitch the mask. I just stitched the little kitty cat. And I did a color conversion. I did a floss conversion for that one. And I stitched it on kind of a wild fabric. So here is my Bones. It's all done. I would have finished this, probably could have finished this in 3 or 4 days, but I got 2 days in it, was working on it a third, and then I decided I want to start a new Halloween project. And so that's kind of what I did, and then started another Halloween project, went back and finished this one, and then continued on. So it does look a lot like the picture, the model, but I just changed a few things. I used all Roxy Floss for this. I used Panther for the body of the cat, the black. I used Mollusk for the bones. I used Ogre for the green in the eyes. Princess, which is a super, super light pink, for the inside of the ears. And then I used Cabernet for the tongue. And for the tongue, I actually doubled up my strands of floss. I just took one strand that I would have normally used and just, did the loop start with, made it a 2 strand so that the tongue was really bright and bold on there. Now the chart, you can see the inside of the ears, the nose, and the mouth are supposed to be orange, and I didn't really care for that. I just decided to change it. I'm not sure that I really like the light pink and the white any better, but I thought if a little cat were in a skeleton costume and we're making up his face, then, maybe just some white paint on the mouth and nose. That would make sense, right? And then the inside of the ears would be pink. Yeah. Keep in mind, at least 2 of the Roxy Floss colors that I used on this are one of a kind, so may not be available. But I was on their website this morning, Evertote.ca. I was on the website this morning because Caroline and Carrie put out a video last night that I only got part of the way through, and so I didn't even finish it this morning because then I had to go out and run some errands and stuff. So, but Caroline showed some new fabrics that they put in the shop. So of course I was on there adding to cart. And then I was like, well, let me see what else they have. And they have added some singles and packs from previous one-of-a-kind Floss Club sets. So if you're interested, I do think Ogre is one of them that has been added. Or I should say, it definitely has been added, and it should still be in stock if you want a skein of Ogre. It's like a really nice limey olive green. Kind of like my peas. You guys can't see this. I'm going to show you anyway. These are my peas. These are my peas. I got these in London actually last year. The kids and I went and did the Jellycat experience at Selfridges, and I think it was like the most fun they've ever had. It was really great. So we got the whole bundle, and Rupert got the fish, and Morris got the chips, and I got the mushy peas. And then of course we bought so many other things, but anyway, so the peas hang out with me here. They're lovely. I don't know that you really needed to see them, but they were looking at me. So I wanted to show them. And actually the retreat that I'm going to, leaving for in just a couple days, is in England. It's in Swindon. And if you've watched previous videos or watched Brenda and Laura, you have heard people talk about this retreat that's coming up. It's hosted by Sue of Minnie McBeans, all her fripperies, and Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea Samplers. But I'm spending a couple days in London before I go out to Swindon, and I might go to Selfridges again just by myself because they have some more Jellycat that I don't need. But I only have the peas. The kids have a lot, Morris especially. He's very into Jellycat. I ask him, what do you want for your birthday? Jellies. What do you want for Christmas? Jellies. And Rupert loves Jellycat as well, but he is definitely way more into Legos. So when I ask him, what do you want for your birthday? Lego. What do you want for Christmas? Lego. If there's like some specific thing, like the fish, he really wanted the fish from Selfridges. All right, that was a lot about Jellycat that you did not need to know. So this is my cat. And I should tell you that the fabric here is Colonial Green Light by XJU Design. There is also a Colonial Green Dark, and my understanding is that it is very dark. I bought a quarter of this from Kitten Stitcher a while back. I remember I didn't show it because it came the day that I recorded a Flosstube episode, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'll just show that next time, and I ended up just putting it away and never showing it. But it is a really beautiful color. So that is a start and finish that I have. Another animal cracker that I have finished months ago, but that I just thought I would show you guys, is Nettle. This is another sort of Halloween themed animal cracker by Stacy Nash. This is the chart. It includes, you know, a chart for the little mask. And again, I didn't stitch the mask. I didn't fuss with that. And I used mostly the called for this one, except I changed the body of the bunny. It's supposed to be light khaki or parchment. Now I'm looking at this. I don't know which one. And I don't remember what I changed it to, but I changed it to something else. And then I made her stockings pretty wild. Yeah. And this is on a 40 count Little Bunny by XJU. Bones is on a 40 count as well. Okay, let's see, a little bit of haul that I got. I was in the Halloween mood, as I say. So I finally placed an order for some Birds of a Feather charts from Colorado Cross Stitcher. Birds of a Feather is a design company that was active, I guess, decades ago, and then they went out of print and were going for wild amounts of money on the secondary market. Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher, Sherry Berger, right there you can see, she gained the rights to reproduce these, and the charts, I have to say, are awesome. Let me just show you a portion of one. Full color, very easy to read. I didn't actually think about whether or not they would be color or black and white, but it was a nice perk to get full color charts, very large and easy to read. So this one is Scared Silly, and it's so funny. I love it. Now, this is the original design, and then Sherry added this. She took this cat and then charted this little eek and took some of those weird bugs and added those. So you've got the chart for the full piece, as well as like the additional chart for that smaller pillow. And then she also includes another chart that has an alphabet and numbers, so that if you want, you can change what's in these boxes, because it says 10/31/01 as in 2001. And then there's a little D down here at the bottom, but presumably you would want to leave that off or change it to your own initial. So Sherry has included that as well. But awesome, awesome charts, and on nice paper as well. And I am stitching this. I did another Roxy Floss conversion for this because now I have a great stash of Roxy and really vibrant, saturated colors that are just so fun. So I realized I had the perfect fabric for it. This is a Mason Linens sewing box 46 count. Sorry, let me show you that. And then this is my work in progress. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. Let's see if it'll focus there. Oh, the fabric, I would say this is pretty true. This is about the right color. It's like a really deep kind of burnt caramel color. And the orange pops off it really nicely. But I will say in person, the red glows on it. It looks so good. So let me tell you real quick the colors I used. Again, some of these are going to be one of a kind that I received in club packs, but you can go onto Roxy Floss and see if they have any of these or choose your own other colors. But I used, let's see, I had Marigold pulled here, but I ended up not using that because when I finally got the chart, I did the conversion before I got the chart. When I got the chart and saw where Curry was going to be, I realized I didn't want a yellow. I wanted more of a gold. So I had Marigold in here, but I didn't actually use that. I used Ever After, and this is a little bit of a speckled, almost white that I used instead of whatever white was called for in here, which was light khaki. This is Beach Glass. I know you can't really see what it is really. This green is Ever After. That's what I did the little stem in. Then I've got Dazzling. That's part of the checkerboard pattern on the bottom. Chalkboard. Now Chalkboard, to my eye, looks like a very, very, very dark green. And I had just used Panther in Bones, the Stacy Nash Animal Cracker Cat. And I needed black, but I wanted a different black. I wanted a different feeling. So I went through my Roxy and I found that I had Chalkboard. And I like this color. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I would say Panther is black and Chalkboard has a little bit more interest to it. I don't know if you can tell that there is just a hint of green to that. And then these hot colors I have, Maized and Confused. This is part of the pumpkin. Lava, also part of the pumpkin. Monarch, a big portion of the pumpkin. And then this beautiful red is what I used for the letters. This is 11 points more. And rather than pulling the whole skein, which I actually had earmarked for another project, I just pulled like one hunk of strands, one length of 6 strands. Fun, fun colors. And look at this cat. He's so silly. He's so silly. And I have plenty of fabric for this. It's nice stitching on this. It all fits within this hoop. This is an oval square or round square, whatever they call it, Hardwicke Manor Hoop. All of the hoops you will see are Hardwicke Manor hoops, and you can get them at hoopandframe.com. You can also get them from Hobby House. The Attic sells them, and your local needlework shop may sell them as well. They're very nice. But I love that. And I reached a good stopping point here. I thought I would talk about how I stitch the pumpkin. Now, the pumpkin is made up of 3 colors. There is a yellowish gold kind of scattered throughout. And then there's a darker orange that makes up the lines. And then there's the brighter orange that is most of the body of the pumpkin. So when I started stitching this, I started with this curved dark orange line because it was easy to count from this checkerboard pattern. This is actually what I stitched first. And then I was able to count from that up to the pumpkin and stitch this curved line. And then from there, I did stitch the medium tone orange, but it was difficult to kind of, I realized that it would be easier to put in the little spots of yellow orange and stitch these darker orange curved lines, and then lastly go in and fill it with the orange. So that's what I ended up doing. So that's what you can see here. This is the smattering of yellow orange. I've got the dark orange lines in, and then it's going to be so easy to fill in with Monarch, that true orange color. But I just love this. This is so silly. And this will finish up a nice size. This is 46 count. Usually I would use cottons on 40 count. I do have this fabric in a 40 count. I have a very large piece of it actually, but I need all of it for a project that I hope to start next year. And having done some Roxy Floss Co conversions already, and then stitching like making these Roxy Floss Co conversions here makes me realize that I'm glad I didn't start that big project, because I'm going to do it all in Roxy Floss and it will be awesome. And the colors for that project are super bright and fun and will pop just like this on that fabric. So good start on that. I think I could finish that in like 3 days, because I put in 3 days to it and I'm about halfway done. All right, the other thing that I started, well, I've got 2 more things that I started. Well, so one of them is actually a piece from the Primitive Needle. Now, I don't have a paper chart to show you. I would love to have been able to print out a cover for you, but our printer, I think it's kaput, because it was giving us lots of problems and now it really just doesn't want to do anything. It's very annoying. Okay, so this is Patriotic Jack game board, and I will insert a photo of the model here and you can see what it's supposed to look like. This piece is a mood. Let's just say that. So again, I really was drawn to the model, but I wanted to stitch it in Roxy Floss, so I came up with my own conversion. And then I used a different fabric than what was called for. If memory serves, the original piece was stitched on Ale by Picture This Plus, which is a golden brown sort of. And I have some options that would have worked, but I had this nice piece, and it was just this piece of vintage Tundra 40 count lakeside linen. And I thought, well, that would work really nicely. So this is what I came up with for this conversion. This orange is the same orange that I used on the other pumpkin piece. This is Lava, or I should say this is the darker orange. On Scared Silly, Monarch is the lighter orange, Lava is the darker orange. I'm only using Lava here for this guy. And then the yellow teeth and eyes are stitched in Cobb's Your Uncle. The black is Panther again. And then the game board, the checkerboard pattern, is made up of these 2 colors. This is Cabernet. This is the color that I used for the tongue on Bones. So you see I was like doing a lot of similar palettes here for a bit. And then this gray tone, this is Rock Face. This is something I got in a one-of-a-kind floss pack. And it is variegated, it's hard to see. It has a nice variegation and it has just the subtlest hint of purple, reddish in some areas. And so I thought it would work nicely with the Cabernet. I'm not sure it's actually showing up on the piece, but it does look nice together. I think it looks really good. The great thing about this piece is that if you want something that's super easy, or at least a portion of it is super easy, you're going to a retreat or you're going to be traveling or something, this piece is great because it's just 10 by 10 squares and there are 7 across and 7 down. So you can do all that without consulting a chart. I showed this on my last Stitch With Me video and talked about the conversion in that video as well, and a couple changes I might make to that. But when I get there, I will show you guys what I settled on. But that is my progress so far. Okay, the last thing that I started was another animal cracker. Now this isn't Halloween per se, but I was in the animal cracker mood. I had done so well finishing Bones in just a few days work. So I pulled out Lily, and I love Lily. I have a stitchy friend who hates animal crackers. And I was like, do you want to start Lily with? No, I don't want to start that stupid frog. I was like, okay. I mean, it's funny how much she hates them. Okay, so again, I did a Roxy Floss Co conversion. Let me just show you her because she's so cute. This is 40 count Up in the Attic. I had to make sure. This is 40 count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. This is a little offcut I had because years ago I stitched a tiny Scarlet House piece on it. A present for Esther Clark. It's a present for Esther something. It's hanging in my dining room. I should know what her name is. All right, so these are the colors that I picked. I will put all this information in the drop-down box below as well, but I'll just go through it here real quick. I used Mollusk, Olive Tree, Hide and Seek. This is a one-of-a-kind. Fairy Dust, Croquette, Cashmere, and Molly are the colors that I used. Now, I have one fewer color here than Stacy calls for in her chart, and that's because Stacy called for 3 colors for Lily's dress and an additional pinky peachy tone for her cheeks. What I ended up doing was choosing 3 colors for the dress and just using the lightest pink for the cheeks as well, rather than trying to find another peach color. That's what I did. Lily is stitched in Garrison Green, and I honestly really love this Hide and Seek green better. I think it's a little bit more vibrant, and I love how it's coming out. So very happy with her so far. And this was just a couple days. Oh, and her eyes were done in Panther, because that's the black that I had hanging around me. So I didn't even bother putting Panther on the ring because I seriously just needed 1 strand to stitch the black of her eyes. Oh, but I've been having so much fun stitching with cotton on, well, mostly 40, but 46 as well. Just, it's been nice. It's been really fun. And just like these small little projects where everything fits in the hoop and you're not looking at this giant thing going, okay, where do I go now? All right. And I got, as you saw, I got a Birds of a Feather, and I talked about how I finally placed an order with Colorado Cross Stitcher. That's because Sherry's been putting these Birds of a Feather re-releases out for months. I think probably almost a year at this point. It's been since she started doing this. And so a couple times a month, I go onto the website and go, what's new, what's new? And I want several of them, but I didn't want to spend $100, $200 on charts that I would get to eventually, right? So I asked myself, what am I actually probably, maybe, going to stitch within the next couple months? And so I picked out 2 Halloween charts. Scared Silly was one of them, and then Poor Jack was the other one. I love this chart. It's so fun. It says, Poor Jack, can't find hell, can't find heaven, poor Jack. He's caught between worlds, isn't he? But I love the border. And again, it's on a funky linen. I think I'm going, the called for is Tiger's Eye by Weeks. I think I'm just going to stitch it on that 46 Mason linen as well, because I know the colors work really well on it. I'm going to use the same Monarch and Lava for Jack's head. And for the border, I'll use one of the oranges plus Panther. I have at least one more skein of Panther, so I know I have plenty of that. The border, though, I was thinking about alternating between Monarch Orange and Lava Orange, just to maybe give it some depth. Or maybe, okay, so these are those 2 colors. But I could even go back and forth between these colors. Or I could do something completely different and use like a purple or something. But I know I have some great purple lavender options for the letters, because there was one club pack that I got from Evertote that had several purpley periwinkle colors. So I'll probably pull from that. But really cute. Love that chart. And this was only $12. And the other one was as well. And this is the other one that I got. These I think will stitch up so quickly. This is Christmas Angel Ornaments by Birds of a Feather. And again, at least for the time being, Colorado Cross Stitcher is the only place that you can get these birds of a feather charts, unless you're willing to pay way too much money on the secondary market. These angels, it's a set of 4 angels. One says hope, one says love, peace, charity. And they're simple and cute, but I think the reason that I really love them is because they remind me of Schoolhouse Rock animation. The aesthetic really looks like the 1970s cartoon. So I really like those. I got those. I think I can stitch, you could probably stitch 1 in a day, maybe do all 4 of them in a week. Could probably do that. And then I have fully finished a needle book on an oval mat board and did the lacing and made a trim and put that around it. And it was a pain in the patella, but it tells me that if I really wanted to, I could fully finish these myself as well. Or I could send them out. Send them out. Yes. So that's what I got in. That's what I have going. May or may not start that poor, I'm not going to start that poor Jack. If I continue on Halloween stitching this month, I will stitch on the 2 things I've already started. But poor Jack, he's in the wings. He's waiting. Okay, the other things that I wanted to show you were some finishes that I got back from Susan at Keepsakes. And then also as they are, I should say, in my tray that is on display for Halloween. So you've seen this tray before if you've been watching my channel for a while. This is the same tray that I used for my Christmas display last holiday season. I got this from an attic event. I did not stitch the thing that was supposed to go in that tray, but the tray is so nice. So I bring it out for holidays. These pieces, oh, and can you see the kitty cat in the back? I love this kitty cat. So these pieces are rug hooked pieces that I purchased from Forgotten Times, which is an antique shop in Plymouth, Wisconsin. And I forget the name of the woman who made these. You will ask me, and I will have to tell you, she doesn't have an online shop because I have looked. But it's probably better for me that she doesn't have it, because only when I go to Plymouth, Wisconsin, which is just once a year, can I spend money on this. But this year I bought another piece of hers when I took the kids antiquing in Plymouth while we were in that area for an event at Road America. But last year, the kids and I decided I wanted to get a couple Halloween pieces because I just love these. And so I let the kids pick which pumpkin and which cat and yada yada. But I just love these pieces. They're so kooky and really neat. Now this piece here, I actually don't know where the chart came from. This is something that was stitched by a friend of mine, and she had it finished and she gave it to me. Oh, it's so cute. Look at that fat cat. It kind of looks like it could be a birds of a feather. Don't you think so? That would be my guess. With the little spiky hairs coming off and how the teeth are done, that's my guess. I could be wrong, but she didn't know. And she stitched it and she couldn't remember. This pumpkin piece I purchased last fall at Cranberry Bog Cottage in Terre Haute, Indiana. That place is a couple hours away from me, but Ryan and I were heading out that way one day, so I was like, you're gonna spend however long at the racetrack out there, I'm gonna go to Cranberry Bog. And I did, and I spent a couple hours there and got a couple charts, some skeins of floss, and then this is a Johanna Parker piece. So if you like that aesthetic, kind of vintagey Halloween, you can look her up. This piece is Which Way by Just Nan, and I did pull out the chart. Here it is. My understanding is that this is still in print, so you should be able to find it. Super cute. I stitched this probably, I know I stitched it in April because that's how far I got into WIPCO that year. Like, that's as far as I made it. I was in May, whatever numbers were called, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, gave up. So WIPCO is not for me. So I'm guessing it would have been in 2023 that I did this. And I used all the called for. This is 32 count raw Belfast linen. And I used the called for DMC colors on this, 2 strands over 2. And for anybody wondering, now I stitch 1 over 2 unless otherwise said. So everything that I've shown here, you know, the Halloween pieces, the animal crackers, that's all 1 strand over 2 linen threads. This chart came with this charm. You can see that I secured it on with the matching orange thread. I did have a lot of fun doing this. I love how vibrant it is. And I'm glad I did this before I started stitching with 1 thread, because I wouldn't want to go back and stitch this again with 2 threads. I just don't enjoy stitching with 2 threads. But if you were to stitch this with 1 thread, even on 36, it would be lacy. So I think I would want to stitch it on something like a 40 count, in which case it would be tiny and the witch charm just wouldn't work. So I'm glad that I stitched this when I did. I think that's good. The other pieces that I have in here are from the Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee book by Brenda Gervais. This is the book. This is still in print, widely available. Your local needlework shop should have it. And I stitched the Trick or Treat right here on this side, and then the Ghosts and Goblins, and the Boo with the 2 cats. And it all looks so nice together. Very happy with that. Sitting on my dining room table on a lovely Halloween table runner that my mom made for me last year. And I was just talking to her on the phone, and I said, yeah, I pulled out all my Halloween stuff, and I had forgotten that you had made that table runner. So I opened up my tub of Halloween stuff, and I was like, oh, I have a table runner. How exciting. You forget. And then a couple other things that I wanted to show that were Halloween themed, and then I'll wrap this up here. I have several Just Nan pieces. I think her designs are so cute, and I have a whole drawer full of little mice and ornaments and things like that. But I do have as well, I think 3 or 4 other Halloween charts, and I pulled this one. This is Spider Moon. This is like a sampler style Halloween piece. And I remember when I got this, I was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much stitching. And I pulled this out the other day, and I was like, that's hardly any stitching at all. It's amazing how your perspective changes. The stitch count is 242 by 95. So on 40 count, if I were to stitch this on 40 count, which I think I would actually, it would be 12 inches long, but it would only be about 5 inches wide. It would be long and skinny. And the border would take a lot. There are a lot of stitches in the border because the border is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows wide. Holy cow. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like 9 or possibly 10. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it looks like 9. So that's a lot of stitching in that border all the way around. But, you know, you could leave off some of the border or all of the border and just stitch the interior. But I'm looking at like the skeletons. There's nothing there. Hardly anything to them. That's right. So that might be something that I work on converting next year. I would like to pick a really fun fabric. The only thing I regret about this piece, I like that it's on 32. I like that I stitched it with 2 strands as called for because it's really vibrant. But if I could magically change this and have it on a different fabric, I would. Something not super wild that detracts from everything that's going on here, but just something that's not raw, natural Belfast. Something, even just like a cream. That would be fine. Or like a butter yellow, something like that. Waiting for the cat to pop her head in. She's like, Halloween cat calling. She's not. Yeah, I stitched that. You know, I just follow the directions, and I think that's what a lot of us do in the beginning. Is you do what the chart says, and then as you do some online shopping and you watch more Flosstube and stuff, you realize that there's a whole world out there of fun fabrics. So that's the only thing I would change. So in looking ahead at this, I would like to pick a fun, funky fabric. The thing is, the skeletons and ghosts would pop on a darker fabric, but then you have these weird monsters that are done in black, and then the tree down below is done in black and dark brown. Yeah, and so you'd need something that would work for everything. Or, oh, it'd be cool if you could get like an ombre fabric. That's not gonna happen. Oh, look at that. So, the last thing I wanted to show is something funny that I found when I was digging through my drawer of Halloween charts. So this year for Halloween, Rupert, who is 13, he is going as a character from an anime show that he really likes, and he's going trick-or-treating with some of his friends. And Morris, well, he's not going trick-or-treating with his older brother and his older brother's friends. So Morris, I and Ryan are going to take Morris trick-or-treating. And and Morris is going as Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I love that movie. He loves that movie too. We all love it. It's great. It's great. And I had forgotten that last year, when my printer worked, printed out graph paper from Hands Across the Sea Sampler's website. And I charted a Nightmare Before Christmas inspired piece based on my favorite character from that movie. And it's this. So this is the mayor's badge. And then he wears this spider where his tie, it kind of looks like a bolo tie actually. He wears the spider right on his collar. And then this is his little button that he wears to the side. And it says, Jack, please, I'm only an elected official. I can't make decisions on my own. It is the funniest line in the whole movie. And I love it. So I found this, I pulled it out. I'm not going to stitch it. I had notes and stuff on like what colors I should use because this ribbon thing is kind of dark orange. And so I came up with colors that I thought would work for it. If I were to do a mayor inspired piece now, I would use the same line because I love it. It's hilarious. I love it. But I wouldn't bother stitching that entire ribbon. I have an idea to take this spider, which I must say is charted beautifully. I love it. I love it. It looks great. I think I would take this spider and put one in each corner and then put the text throughout and do something like that. I think that would be really cool. So I just thought maybe you guys would think that's funny. Yes. Okay. Well, that's all I have to share for you on the Halloween front today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you feel inspired. If you like Halloween and maybe you haven't pulled anything out yet and you're itching to stitch something in the season while we're still in the season, because, you know, November 1st, some of us, Ryan, are going to want to put the Christmas tree up. He is Linda Belcher. He is. But we don't have a real tree, which is good because you know how that episode went. Okay. So my plans going forward, as I say, I'm leaving in a couple days to go to a retreat. I've got a week-long trip ahead of me, just myself. I get to do whatever I want. It's wonderful. I told Ryan, because he was asking, are you excited? And I was like doing a little dance. He was like, is that your excited dance? I said, that's my I'm going to eat an inordinate amount of Korean food dance. That's what that is. So good. So I'm excited. I'm staying in London. I'm staying for 2 nights, and I'm staying in the same apartment complex that I stayed almost 3 years ago at this point when I went by myself. And right downstairs is a Korean restaurant. Oh, it's so good. And they have this dish called jjajangmyeon, which I had not seen outside of Korea until I went to this place. And it is so good. It's this noodle dish and it looks disgusting, but it's delicious. And it's just like the best comfort food. So I'm going to have that like maybe my first night in London, because it's warm and delicious. And ooh, yeah, I'm so excited. And then, why am I talking about this? I'm going to London and then go to Swindon for the retreat. And then when I get back, okay, you guys, okay. So while I'm gone, the last day of the retreat is the 19th. I will have a new start on that day. Usually definitely always, I don't like to start new things at retreats. It's like I don't want to deal with, for me, it's a process to start a new piece, and I like to do it at home in my jammies. But because the last day of the retreat is actually my birthday, I am going to start my birthday start there. So I've got to take all that stuff. So this is just me telling you, if you want to start Sarah Stewart Hardman by Needlework Press on October 19th, you are welcome to join me if you like. I put that out there on Instagram, and I know several other people have it kitted up. I think Stitch and Gem is going to start with me, and a couple other people are going to start around that time if they have the supplies. So I'll just let you know that you can expect to see a small start on that when I get back. I should be home very late on the 20th. And so what I plan to do is a big long recap video within just a couple days after I return, showing you everything that I got and talking to you about the experience. And then also showing you everything that I stitched on during Sampler September that was not covered in my mid-September video, if that makes sense. So lots to look forward to. I'm really excited to eat a lot of Korean food. And I also think I'm gonna go to Tony's Pita. People ask me what I do when I travel. That's what I do, I eat. I like to eat. And also there are like 3 shops in London that I wanna hit up. Nothing major. I don't go. Also, I am a super light packer, and I'm taking one tiny child-sized suitcase and then my ultimate travel bag that Apoon made for me. And I'm hoping to keep that travel bag, which is kind of like a stiff duffel about this size. And I'm hoping to keep that as empty as possible on the way out so that I can fill it with whatever we get at the retreat coming home. Was there anything else I needed to tell you guys? I don't think so. Okay, so if you have any comments or questions, leave them below. You can also find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead if you prefer to send me a personal message that way. I've also been putting my email address in the drop-down box below. I will include information on the Roxy Floss Co conversions that I have shown in that information box. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. But until next time, which shouldn't be that long, it should be less than 2 weeks that I have another video for you guys. Until next time, very happy stitching to you all. Bye!